Greetings friends, to finish these builds for the release of Diablo 4, this time it's my Bone Necromancer. The idea is being a nuke build, meaning you'll send Bone Spirit to enemies with crazy explosion damage. It will quickly clear packs and be very efficient also against bosses. You can play this build in solo, but will be a perfect match if you have a friend in melee range. For the gear and skills, you want to play Bone Splitters in order to make enemies vulnerable and generate essence. You also want additional attack speed and damage reduction. For the main spell Bone Spirit, you want damage increase in function of the travel distance and also increase damage in function of your essence available. You also take the Bone Storm and the Corpse Explosion in order to add damage to your build. Then if you play solo, you'll want the golem to tank for you, and you must have Decrepify. It will be very important to have this curse for the gameplay. If you play in party, you can swap Decrepify for Iron Maiden in order to gain more essence. After, you want to increase your sacrifice and gain damage bonus when you stand still. This second power is a bit harder to play with this build, but the idea is since you have plenty of base damage, even if you have 5, 10 or 15% of damage, it will still be very good with this build. You also must have this passive, it will greatly help you to gain essence. Then it's not mandatory but give you some comfort, give you a barrier when you hit an elite, and get unstoppable if you are injured during a CC effect. Lastly, it's something that I didn't use in the build, but the idea is to cast a Bone Spirit when you pick up 6 blood orbs. So I wanted to show you this unique power, and if you have any suggestions, feel free to post in the comments. For the gems, you want life in armor, resistances in accessories, and increased damage to vulnerable enemies in weapons. You want to sacrifice your skeletons in order to gain critical chance and your shadow mage for maximum essence. I remind you that the more essence you have when you cast Bone Spirit, the more damage it will do. That's why you need the highest pool possible and essence generation. For the golem, pick the one that suits you well. To finish with the build, and if you play in a party only, you can swap the golem for the tendrils. Take this legendary power in order to increase your critical chance and critical damage for enemies affected by the skill. Also, you'll need to sacrifice your golem in order to gain critical damage. For the skill tree, you'll play Bone Splitter and the fact they make enemies vulnerable. Then you want the increased cost of essence but increased damage, and you can put 1 point on Lucky Hit to create a corpse. You want the Corpse Explosion with the passive granting you damage and essence. After that you have the curse, increased damage to cursed enemies and increased damage to distant enemies. Then you have the Bone Spirit with increased critical chance and takes the Bone passive nearby. Then we have our Ultimate and Decay passive, which will increase the damage that you do if you have more than 50 essences. To finish this video, I'll show you some gameplay in tier 3 difficulty in solo. So now how it works, it's not very hard. You just need to wait that you're full essences, so you keep stacking essence with the Bone Splinter, and when the pack is ready, just launch your Bone Spirit. It doesn't matter too much if it's a pack or a boss, because you have big AoE effect on the Bone Spirit, so it's very efficient against both of them. To survive in solo, you need to use Decrepify. Be careful because it will cost essence, but when you have a pack, simply cast 1 Decrepify on it and you'll be safe. You also have the ultimate when needed and will grant you increased chance to crit, so make sure to have a Bone Spirit ready before using your ultimate. Lastly, to add some damage, you have the Corpse Explosion, which will also grant you essence and damage boost. So it's a bit an atypical build, but you'll see that you don't have any issue in tier 3 difficulty. I hope that you like this build, and if you have the chance to play it with a Death Trap Rogue who had the ability to pack the map, you'll see that it does miracles.